Alrighty. Hey there, guys. It's Silver, your host, and we have some new support for the Flame Swordsman deck of all things. And since anybody who watches this channel knows that this deck has fast become my favorite pet deck, and I have enjoyed building so many different variants of it and trying to get it to compete, that I just had to check this out. So let's have a read of this new card, shall we? The Dark Flare Swordsman. Let's go. So, 2200 attack, 800 defense. You take no damage from battles involving this card. Very nice. You can only use each of the following attack effects of Dark Flare Swordsman once per turn. You can send one Flame Swordsman or one monster that mentions it from your extra deck to the graveyard. Special summon this card from your hand. Very good. Also, you cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn except with warrior monsters. Okay. Quick effect. You contribute this special summon one monster that mentions Flame Swordsman from your deck, except a level 6 monster. Okay. Right. So, straight off the bat, for the maybe 10 of us out there that are actually mad enough to play a pure variant of this thing, this is the one, boys. This is absolutely the one. It's that extra piece that we need. Anyway, let's go over some of the key takes from this card. First of all, artwork is absolutely awesome. Loving that big burning sword. So, we have ourselves a retrain of the OG Dark Flare Knight with the exact same stats. We take no damage from battles involving this card. Very good. A bit of nice basic protection for the life points. It's fully searchable, this thing, of Fighting Flame Sword, because Flame Swordsman is mentioned. It's fully usable with Fighting Flame Sword's negation and pop effects because of its typing and attribute. Even better. Another very nice thing, its cost allows you to pitch 4 setup, so the cost is not even negative. You're obviously going to fling your Fighting Flame Dragon into the grave, so the cost is basically just set up to special summon the thing. Literally no downside to that. Excellent. It's an instantaneous route into Mirage Swordsman of all things, without having to fulfill that particular slow card's summoning requirements, because if any of you remember Mirage Swordsman that came out in the first wave of support last year, that thing had to be special summoned from the graveyard in a really convoluted kind of manner. And that's very slow for the modern game. So for anybody that actually wants to run Mirage Swordsman, this card, Dark Flare, is a very valid way to just instantaneously pull it out the deck. Which, if you want to run it, that's fine. Totally good if you want to. So, let's carry on, because there's more to unpack with this thing. It's completely eligible to be used with Flame Sword Realm's buffing ability that allows you to take a Fire Warrior monster, debuff it by 1,000, and then buff your entire field by a K. So that's good. Valid target for that. Most importantly, it's a much needed body on board for the pure build, because any of you that have played this deck in any capacity or tried to play it pure know that getting bodies on board with this thing, unless you're relying on other engines, it's a bit of a pain. You're not realistically getting more than 2 or 3 monsters out. So this extra body can just act as fuel for something else. Excellent. Now, perhaps the best part of Dark Flare Swordsman here, a very important one. This is a 1-card setup for the entire Flame Swordsman chain, without having to use your normal summon. So, for example, you can pitch the Fighting Flame Dragon, get this thing on field, then tribute it to bring out a Fighting Flame Swordsman. Grab Realm off the Fighting Flame Swordsman. Tribute the Fighting Flame Swordsman by Sword Realm effect. Bring out a regular Flame Swordsman. Pitch your Flying Flame Dragon by Fighting Flame Swordsman's Graveyard effect. Set up your Ultimate Flame Swordsman by sending Salamandra Fusion that you'll get from the Flying Flame Dragon to the grave. Get your ultimate out, and then equip it with Fighting Flame Dragon for potentially 7k attacks. So it's a full combo off this one card without having to use your normal, which allows you to have a bit more flexibility. Good thing is, the cost to bring this thing out in the first place cannot be ashed because it specifies sending a monster from extra deck to grave, so you can't ash it by way of its summoning cost. So that is absolutely all well and good. Now, a big downside here, or arguably a downside, depending on which way you look at it, you are locked into attacking with only warrior monsters once you've brought this thing from the hand to the field by its special summoning effect. Now, that might be a bit of a problem for people who are going to run this card along with other packages. Say, for example, I use a small 6-card Millennium engine to support my Flame Swordsman deck because, let's be honest, it has life point cost attached to it, bringing out the Millennium pieces, but their extra bodies on board. Wedge Temple gives you back row to then go into Doom Dragon, and you can go into other cards using the Millennium pieces, being the Golem and Sengenjin. So, if you're going to be locked into attacking with warrior monsters, if you've used the special summoning effect of Dark Flare, obviously be sure to tribute or use your Millennium pieces for some sort of special summon. Go into SP. Go into SP, basically, because that thing is warrior. It can attack, and having it on board is just, let's be honest, SP is still very good. SP is still very good, so just, yeah, that's fine. Okay. All in all, this card is solid. It's a much welcome addition to Flame Swordsman. It's going to make pure builds arguably quite a bit better. Is it game breaking? No. No. Is its restriction annoying? Slightly. I mean, far more powerful engines have had far more laughable restrictions than we are getting with Dark Flare Swordsman's effect here. Looking at you, Ryzeal, and the Fiendsmith engine, and many other things, but hey, it is what it is, and Konami decides what is meta. So, is it a bit of a downside, the effect? Yeah, but it is what it is. So, the way I see it, as somebody who plays this deck a lot alongside his other deck, which is Heroes, I would say it's a solid 2 to 3 for the pure build. You want to be running this thing because you also have another way into it if you want to as well. If you don't draw it, you can get it off Fighting Flame Sword and then obviously pitch it to go into another the whole chain without having to normal summon. So it's a win-win all round, really. Where I see it in closing, it's that missing piece, and it's going to make the pure build that much better and add a little bit more fuel and a little bit more flexibility to the archetype in general. With this final piece, alongside the Metal Morph support that we got in Suda, I would finally say Flame Swordsman is at the stage where, if you want to run it independent of other engines, it's a fully fleshed out, viable deck with the addition of this card and the Metal Morph support. And if you're running it that way, purely with its archetypal package and metal morph, you're going to be able to sling cards like Dominus in there, Impulse, and you're going to have extra stopping power without having to risk a lot of your engine, depending on what other hand traps you're running. Anyway, that's my take. Definitely get this in your deck, whatever you're running, Flame Swordsman wise, because it's going to help. Would I run a pure build with just this? I'd give it a try, but I'd recommend that you have this in a deck with another engine complementing. Probably a bit of Infernoble for added support in your pure build, or get a Millennium package in there because the bodies on board are excellent. Anyway, before I digress any further, we'll leave it here. Dark Flare Swordsman's looking good. Flame Swordsman as a deck is now fully fleshed out, has some decent plays, and this is much needed. So, hopefully, you never know. We might get another additional spell or trap card in Duelist's Advance. You'd think if they had something like that, they'd announce it together with Dark Flare, but hey, fingers crossed. If they gave us even more on top of this, it would be absolutely awesome. Proves that they see that Flame Swordsman is a popular archetype and people are enjoying playing it. And it's also very splashable. Anyway, we'll leave it here. I won't digress anymore. Get this card in your deck when it releases. I'll be running it in Master Duel for sure. And we're all good. So, a special thank you to our channel members and patrons at the time of this video. Mr. Jonathan, Reese Free, Jay, Kota Okami, Jacob the Dabbler, Julio, The Relinquished, Space Ghost, and Marcus. It's very much appreciated. And as ever, I have been Silver, your host. Have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, and I will see you again very soon. Take care, guys.